Good evening. Welcome to the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Well, another week is beginning as the clock runs down on election timelines. The Electoral College is set to meet within a few days. The stimulus talks continue, and the government votes to extend their funding while some of us are struggling to make ends meet. Right now, I am upset with both parties of Congress and the Senate, the Republicans and the Democrats. They are playing games with our life and livelihoods. It took me 3.5 years to build my now defunct business, and I'm having to now rebuild it, as a lot of us are who suffered through these violent attacks and through these different things the Democrat sees and governors and mayors allowed to happen in those cities, destroying small businesses. Republicans and Democrats are responsible. We need to stop crying about deficit spending. You've been doing it for years. So why stop now when the American people are in desperate need? Why are we stopping worrying about deficit spending, which they're going to do anyway? You do deficit spending to keep funding the government, so why not give the American people some dollars as well so that we can make it through to this next year? I don't know if some of you understand this. Small business and self-employed are two different things. I was self-employed. My business was destroyed by these shutdowns. And I know a lot of you out there are in the same boat I am. Have you experienced this as well? Make a comment in the comment section on YouTube or email us at our email address here at CTM News. These elections are about the people, not the politician. The elections are about the people, not the politician. There are people in Washington who have been living off taxpayer money in Washington for over 20 to 40 years, some congressmen and senators. I'm beginning to think we are being told as Americans from both parties they don't care. I really believe that. This entire government structure needs a laxative to clean out the drought or the drought. I believe Congress needs forced retirement ages. They should not be able to go on and on forever. If we work a job or we have to retire at 65 or 70 or whatever, they need to be forced to retire at a certain age as well, so that they're not staying in, and they need to be evaluated also. Every year they need to be an evaluation. And I believe they need to be put under the same standards as employees are in our country. I believe that a board of actual citizens, American citizens, need to be in that review board. Instead of having congressmen judging congressmen, we need to have the American city, the city people, the taxpayers, come and have a review. If a candidate or congressman is not doing their job and just taking up space in our Congress and in our Senate, they need to be removed, be it be Democrat or Republican. I know everybody's talking about the balance of power, but we need to stop having these Republicans and Democrats come into Congress and sit on their behinds and do nothing and complain that we're spending deficit. Do you get up and come to work every day? I'm sure you do, congressmen and senators. But some of us don't have a job anymore. Some of us, businesses have been destroyed. Are you still working? Are you funding your government or our government, which our tax dollars are paying for? Why are you getting all the money and we're suffering? The spending is deficit regardless of who gets the funds. So Congress needs to get off their butt and approve a stimulus package. I don't give it be Democrat or Republican. You need to come to the table and agree on something. I don't care if you give the cities more money or states more money or not. You're refunding the government. They're staying employed. I have friends of the government. Yeah, they got their jobs, but I'm unemployed and I don't have any funds coming in. I'm doing this job here you see me doing right here as a talk show host is supported by sponsorship. If I don't have sponsors, I don't get paid. So if you care about this show and you want to keep it on this channel, sponsor us here with your commercial or your small businesses. But I say this: how come as American people we are doing a lousy job? We are told to pack up and go home when we don't do our job. When members of Congress and Senate don't do their job, they still get paid and they don't get fired. We need to figure out a way that we can fire these Congress people that are sitting on their butts like Nancy Pelosi and not doing anything, just dragging out and sucking up our taxpayer dollars as we go to our stores, pay taxes, go to our payroll, whatever, pay taxes through payroll, and they're living off of us, and they're not having no problems. A lot of them are millionaires, are doing so well, they don't even worry about the little things we worry about, paying your credit card bills and paying your utility bills. They don't have to worry about it. A lot of them don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. If they're worried about anything, they're worried about spending too much on their Mercedes or their Maserati or whatever they're riding around in. Yet we're out here struggling, trying to get by. President Trump brought the American people through the forefront and as our representative in the country. President Trump needs to remain in office. And to tell you the truth, he is a president for the people. And in some ways, I don't really care whether the vote goes that way anyway. I believe he should be in the presidency anyway. You're talking about putting, even in this guy, Joe Biden, whoever he is, who's wasted our taxpayer money for almost over 40 years, gets in there and he's trying to destroy our country once again. Send our jobs off to China, to different countries, take away our incomes, take away our businesses, even more so. And how do you like this? Miss Kamala Harris gets out and starts talking about we need to do something to protect the minority businesses. Well, where was she doing a few months ago when Antifa and BLM was tearing up our cities? She wasn't doing nothing. She was sitting back and just letting it go. Saying, encouraging people to bail the people out of jail. Yes, Kamala, we all know about it. You getting out there tweeting, talking about support the minority businesses. You destroyed a lot of businesses. There were people in Minnesota, I think it was in Michigan, who had their business for many years. One couple had a business for 30 years. The business was destroyed in one night. And they had to rebuild. After 30 years of work, their business was destroyed. Do Kamala Harris and Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi care about that? The answer to that question is no. They don't care. They're making their paychecks. They're making, as we used to say in the cab company, they're making their nut. They don't have to worry about nothing. They're sitting back relaxing. A lot of them don't even come to office. Kevin McCarthy was saying that some of them didn't even come to office when they were supposed to come back and come back into our government. We're going to take a short break right here. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. President Trump was at a rally today in Valdosta, Georgia, going for the candidates that are running for Senate. And in Georgia, you need to vote for those senators in the Republican Party. Even Vernon Jones came out in support on Fox News talking about that they need Republican senators in that state. If we allow that the balance to be changed, and the balance is changed in Congress and in the Senate, in this country, you might well flush it down the toilet, because that's exactly where it's going if we allow them to take control of the Senate. Imagine Chuck Schumer as the majority leader. He was a majority leader once before. Nearly destroyed our country. Now you have socialists in there that are continually trying to destroy our country through these crazy policies. Medicare for all, worried about some global warming garbage, which has never been proven to be true. It's like anything else. The Democrats don't want to hear the conservative side of the story, so they have their social media to block us. They have YouTube and people like that to cut us off. when we start talking about, say, coronavirus or something like that. They block what we're saying. Why? Because they don't believe in the Constitution. They don't believe in your right. They keep talking about the right to choose as far as children go and killing babies, but when it comes to the right to choose, when you choose a viewpoint, they don't want to hear the conservative viewpoint. They only want to hear their own self talking. And I want to say to them right now, as they're always trying to say to us, shut up. Shut up. Because we as conservatives, we have the care for the American people. Now, I'm not saying there's no Republicans that are not going to a different direction, but they need to get on track and get on the train too, moving toward the American people. This government was set up for the people. And it's supposed to be by the people. Yet we have all these aristocrats and elites in the White House, I'm sorry, not in the White House, but in the Congress and in the Senate who could care less about whether your credit card bill is paid or whether your utilities are paid or whether you got food on your table or not. They could care less. If they cared, they would go ahead and pass these freaking bills and just let it go. Let it pass. Get it over with. I'm talking to the Republican Party right now. Stop arguing over these things and support these states. Let us support the states. We can deal with that later. President Trump even said it. We need to just agree with this and just get it over with so that the American people can get help. Because we need it. The American people need help. We're all still digging ourselves out of a hole after these lockdowns that actually went across the country. And some Democrats say they're still keeping you locked down. This garbage has got to stop. So we on the Black Conservative Voice talking about this. The Georgia rally had a lot of people there. I'm not sure what the number was, but I'm sure there were thousands of people there that were in support of President Trump and the Stop the Steal movement. And we want to elect our Loeffler, and I'm not sure who the other candidate is. We want to put them in the Senate. We need to maintain control in the Senate so that we can move this country forward. If we lose control in the Senate, you might well pack up and leave and go to some other nation because they are going to destroy us here in this nation. They don't care about the American people. What did I tell you before? I would venture to say they hate us, the Democrat Party. They kept my people enslaved for years in Baltimore, Maryland. My sister Kim Klacik was just speaking recently on Fox News about the situations that are going on in the Democrat Party. They haven't changed. They're still doing the same things they've been doing for over 50 years. We need to get those that are there out of office, and we need to move some people in the office in the Republican Party that's going to do the work. We need to cut the foolishness out. In these states, where the swing states, where these illegal and irregular activities have been going on, the legislature needs to step up and stop this mess. We don't need to be certifying no election if the crookedness and fraud is going on. We need to stop it, stop it. And it's to say the old words of Mr. Don Knox back on Andy Griffith, nip it in the bud, Andy. Nip it in the bud. We need to nip it in the bud. We need to step out and we need to do something to change these situations and circumstances that are going on in these swing states. We need to move this country back to the America First plan. I don't know if you heard it or not, but they don't care about America First. As far as the Democrats go, it could be America last. They even allowed the vaccine to be distributed in some other states and other countries instead of here in America. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with you here on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert. Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the Voice of Truth. You know, you got Joe Biden. He's set. They got him set, saying he's the president-elect. Of course, there's been no certification. We all know this. We got to continue to hear Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. I believe a miracle is going to happen. And I believe President Trump is going to win this election. There's been so much fraud, so much lying going on, especially with the media, mainstream media, and with these states that refuse to stand up and defend the election process. I believe they're scared. They're scared of the Democrats. You know, I remember in the old days, they used to talk about mafia involvement or organized crime and all these different things like that. But if you look at the Democrat Party, it's no different. It's organized crime. You got a guy that's in here, supposedly got elected by more votes than any president in history, yet he does a on-air address to people and only has 1,000 people watching his address on the internet from his house. President Trump brought this up at the rally in Georgia. He only had 1,000 people online watching. But President Trump goes online and talks, he's a few 100,000 people watching. And then when he's on TV or whatever, there's millions of people watching. So, what do you believe? You really believe Joe Biden got 80 million votes? No. He didn't get 80 million votes. He stole several 100,000 votes, yes. There could be people that crazy to vote for him. The man can't even remember where he's at half the time. So how do we want somebody that in office? I think I think he needs to be checked out. I don't think that none of this stuff could go on. Until this investigation is over, especially into the fraud, but also the investigation into Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and his family with this collusion with Ukraine or quid pro quo, all this funds, all this money, millions of dollars. Why would somebody hire me for millions of dollars to do nothing that I don't know nothing about? I don't know nothing about oil and gas either. Maybe they can hire me. I can use some money. Anybody can use any money? Hunter Biden, he didn't know about oil and gas. They paid him $80-some thousand a month. How many of y'all would like that? $80-some thousand, $80,000 something a month to do a job you know nothing about. Actually, no, just pretty much for your namesake, that you are the vice president's son. Talk about quid pro quo. Talk about nepotism. Anybody talk about that? It's a sad situation, people. And we need to get a hold of this situation. And we need to correct this situation before, even if this man is allowed to get into office, we need to clear this mess up before he sits down as our president. I say they need to extend President Trump's presidency until this mess is resolved. Forget this January 20th garbage. We don't want Nancy Pelosi running anything, or anybody else in the House of Representatives running this country, or the Senate. We want to keep President Trump in office, even if it has to go through the investigation of Joe Biden and his corrupt behavior with other countries such as China and Ukraine. Guys, this stuff, we got to stop this mess. Forget these deadlines. Some things take longer to resolve. And I say if we take President Trump out of office, we're going to almost destroy this country. Now, the Republicans, I'm a registered Republican, yes, but I am a conservative Republican. There is a difference. There are some Republicans could care less about you. And there's some Democrats could care less about you. I'm not going to say that it's even, but what I believe and what the president stands for is what I stand for. I'm pro-life. I'm against abortion. I'm against illegals coming over the border and taking our jobs and doing violent crime in this country. I mean, it's been proven now. You got somebody over here who's been sent out of the country 5 times, comes into a church where people hold a church service and stabs 5 people. 2 of them passed away there that night. And this guy was an illegal alien. And that's okay? No, it's not okay. Yeah, these are the things that people are getting away with in this country through these, what do they call, I forgot what they call the thing. It's a state where you let people, a city, you let people what do they call the word? Anyway, it's a city that where illegals are allowed to come in and just stay there, and they can come in and out. A lot of times you send them out and they bring them back across the border, and they're allowed to stay in the city. They need to stop that. That does not need to be going on in this country, regardless of who says it's right or who says it may be wrong. It should not be going on in this country. If that's the case, you might, like I said, you might well open the borders. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but Biden and Kamala Harris, they're for open borders. I'm telling you the truth. Not saying anything, not trying to be threatening or anything else like that. Well, I can say to them, if they get in and they make this election promise, you better watch out. Because you're not going to take these people's First Amendment rights or the Second Amendment rights and expect everything to be peachy keen. You know, you got these Democrat protesters, which you call them protesters, but they're radical rioters. You think they're bad? Imagine organized, not radical rioters, but organized revolutionaries. And that is exactly what you're going to have if you try to convert this country to a socialist nation. You're going to have a revolution going on from the conservative side of this country. I'm sorry. This is the truth. There's going to be a revolution. If we don't get this mess straightened out, that's exactly what's going to happen. Don't believe me? Keep messing around with this foolishness, cheating on elections. I'm speaking to the Democrats as well. It ain't worth it. It is not worth it. Bringing this country into a revolution, trying to suck up the socialism. I do appreciate the way they've been treating Ilhan Omar and AOC here recently. They're not listening to this garbage anymore. And the Democrat Party needs to distance themselves from that radical element because the people are watching. Even the Democrat people know that there was irregularities and possible fraud in the election. Some of them even know that. Not some of them, a lot of them know it. They're not stupid. They can see. Of course, the fake news media is avoiding the whole issue. But we need to come together as the American people, and we need to stand up for this country and stand up against this tyranny and this foolishness with the election fraud that's going on right now. And you legislatures and politicians, stop ignoring the lies that are going on, saying that there's nothing going on. And A.G. Barr, but he ought to be ashamed of himself. And as some said even recently, you're a lawyer. You're not supposed to be opening up stuff like that. If the case is out there, you're not supposed to bring anything out. Regardless of what they ask, I have no comment. I have no comment on that. Well, people, I know I'm gone off. I'm going on a rant here today. But I want to thank you for joining us here on the Black Conservative Voice. This is a talk show, and this is an op-ed or opinion show, so I have my right to my opinion. It may not necessarily be the opinions of CTM News or its staff or its leadership. But the fact of the matter is that we need to come together in this country. Now, I'm not saying this country is perfect, but in the past, I have seen Democrats and Republicans come together, especially when Nancy Pelosi's not the head of the House. We need to get her out of the House. House leadership, you need to move her out of the seat of leader or Speaker of the House. She don't need to be there. She's destroying the Democrat Party. She almost did it during Obama, and nobody paid any attention. She wasn't listening to Obama either. She was against him as well. So once again, I want to thank you for joining us here on the Black Conservative Voice. My name is David Colbert, and I hope you join us again on Tuesday night here on the Black Conservative Voice and CTM News. And once again, I want to say what I like to always say to you. God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the world. Until next time, this is David Colbert saying good night and God bless.